WMAL. Next up on the big show today, we've got Tom Fitton, the president of Judicial Watch. He's also the author of A Republic Under Assault, and he joins us on the phone. Tom, good to have you back with us, sir.
Good afternoon, Vince. A lot going on, huh?
Yes, indeed. I want to get your initial reaction to the Hunter Biden news today. He walked into court thinking he was going to have a plea deal, and he was going to walk away not being charged with anything else. And yet the whole thing collapsed as the judge asked just a few probing questions and said, "This doesn't sound right." What do you make of this? That this plea deal collapsed in the court today?
Well, it's an extraordinary development. Obviously, it's the son of the president of the United States. He's been implicated in crimes way beyond what he's being charged and being asked to plead out to. And the judge asked a specific question: does this cover other crimes that are being investigated? And the Justice Department said, no. And Biden's people said, of course, it ought to. And if this isn't the case, there's no deal. And so there's no deal. So he had to plead not guilty. And I tell you, if this Justice Department were run honestly and ethically, and there was a culture of ethics, as I noted on Twitter today at the Justice Department, Garland would resign, Weiss would resign, and the other responsible officials for this disaster would resign. And if there's no special counsel for the Biden family after this debacle, I just don't know what's happening in this city.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see a judge stand up to it for once. The Justice Department at this point, based on the credible testimony of countless whistleblowers, including those two IRS whistleblowers who came out recently, the Justice Department's credibility is non-existent in these cases. What defendant in this country could expect a fair trial from an agency that is so obviously corrupt?
No, and it wasn't like the judge asked to, got into the nitty-gritty. She asked some basic questions about this obviously deficient plea deal, and the details of which I think have been largely withheld from the American people till now. And, the irony of this, Vince, is, and I've been thinking about it, is that Hunter's likely to benefit from this disaster. Because, he agreed to a plea deal, and now it turns out, well, the Justice Department had other ideas in mind. And I tell you, if I'm Hunter's defense lawyers, I go back to the judge and I enforce it. You can't just pull the rug out from under us here. And so who knows how this is going to work out. It may work out for the benefit of Hunter. But I tell you, this just adds to the momentum for impeachment of Biden, and I think Garland at least, and the appointment of a special counsel. And whether all that will happen, I don't know. You'll be talking to a Congressman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has some good insights here. But the train, I think, is going now in that direction, at least finally. And
yes.
As you know, I've been calling for impeachment inquiry for some time. But I think that testimony last week you talked about, the collapse of the plea agreement today because of evidence of corruption and something skullduggerous going on. I don't see how the House gets out of conducting impeachment. And I don't say this sarcastically, but they go to it with a heavy heart because no one really wants to do this. But, the Biden corruption crisis is just forcing the hand of the Congress to deal with it in the least through an impeachment inquiry.
It does seem like we're a lot closer today to an impeachment inquiry than we were yesterday. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been sharing with the Daily Caller today that some of the behind-the-scenes meetings that they've been having as Republicans, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy seems to be whipping Republicans towards an impeachment inquiry. He's been trying to place pressure now on members of his caucus to join him on that front. So that'll be interesting. And again, I'll get more details.
Yeah, and I'm, my understanding is there hasn't been much dissent. And I think that whistleblower testimony and the release of this 1023, if your listeners have not read that document, I would suggest they're obligated as citizens to go and find it and read it.
Yeah, it's a huge deal.
They're going to be shocked to their core by what they see in terms of this significant bribery scandal and extortion scandal involving this president, the head of Burisma, and now a current member of the Ukrainian government.
It is amazing to see all of this playing out. So let me, if I can ask you about the political implications of this. Obviously, Impeachment is tricky. One of the things about impeachment politically is that typically the person who's being subjected to it, the couple of times that have happened in our lifetimes, becomes more popular, actually, as they're being impeached. That was true in Clinton's case. That was definitely true in Trump's case. But that seems to be irrelevant if the core question is getting to the bottom of the corruption of the Biden family, and then using the remedies that exist in the Constitution. That seems really important. Simultaneously, I think it's going to be interesting, Tom, to be looking at an environment where you have an impeachment going on at the same time that Joe Biden's Justice Department is persecuting Biden's top political opponent, Donald Trump. I mean, what an amazing and unfortunate place that we will be in as a country.
Well, I would submit that prosecution is designed in part to prevent impeachments of Biden and distract and detract from the ability to effectively litigate impeachment. And certainly, frankly, it freezes the Justice Department from going after Biden as well. I mean, the Justice Department really can't walk and chew gum at the same time when it comes to prosecuting major league politicians. And they know when you have 60 or whatever prosecutors going after Trump, who ends up going after Biden? The guy in Delaware in the Baltimore office of the FBI. Who are they kidding?
Right. Let me move to a different topic with you, something that you've exposed for the public this week. I've seen a bunch of even the corporate news outlets finally sinking their teeth into this, no pun intended. You have a story here. Major and then subsequently Commander, the two German shepherds of the Biden family, have been apparently biting all of the Secret Service agents that are tasked with defending the first family, to the point that some of them have been hospitalized. This is all information that Judicial Watch has exposed over these last few years, including this past week. What can you tell us, Tom?
Yeah, I think it was last year we exposed how Major was biting many more people than the White House had admitted to, so they were caught in a big lie about that. And then they got the new dog, Commander. And, we got a tip that Commander was doing the same thing back in, I guess, late last year. We asked under FOIA. We sued in April. We finally got the documents, and they showed at least 10 incidents. 6 or 7 agents and police uniformed personnel under the Secret Service were bitten by this dog. The dog's out of control, and, nothing was done about it. I don't even know if anything is being done about it other than new leash protocols. When did that start happening? It's just awful, and this president allowed this dog to go around biting people. And this is the family dog. So it wasn't like, oh, well, I didn't know because, my secretary walks the dog all the time. No, this is their dog. They're personally responsible.
Yes.
There were at least 2 instances where they were walking the dog or the dog was in their custody when an incident happened. And so there's no excuse here. And I tell you, anyone else who had a dog that bit 6 people, they'd lose the dog. And I feel badly for the dog. But I feel worse for the Secret Service agents who have been traumatized and injured by these dog attacks. This is, to me, is symptomatic of the Biden way, isn't it? I don't care what the rules are. Oh, by the way, the agents who complained about the dog bite, Major biting him, Biden thought they were lying.
What? I mean,
so
it's amazing. Are you a dog owner, Tom, by any chance?
I used to be.
Now, the thing that we all talk about as dog owners is, really a dog is a reflection of his owner. It's either good training or not. And it seems to me the Biden family is not bothering themselves at all with training these dogs. They feel like they have no obligation to that. I have a dog. Ironically, my dog is named Major. But my dog, when I first got him, he's his dominant breed. We checked. We did the whole DNA thing. So now the Chinese can track us. The dominant breed is German Shepherd, and when we first got him, we adopted him. He was mouthy. He would mouth at people. He wouldn't fully clamp down and pierce the skin or anything, but he would mouth. I trained him out of it. He doesn't do that anymore. He doesn't mouth people anymore because I trained him. I took the time to actually train my dog. The Bidens, not so much. These dogs are biting and breaking skin on Secret Service agents in an environment where the dog is encountering these agents every day.
And it's too late for training, okay? Would you want to be around the dog till he's, quote, trained out of it? Of course not. And one of the incidents, he was up in Delaware, so it's not just like him being removed from the White House. The president spends half his time, I don't know if it's half literally, but a significant bulk of his time up in Delaware. One security technician knocked at the door, and someone opened the door, and the dog is a dog. He got out immediately and bit the poor guy on the back. I read a lot of FOIA documents, Vince, over my 25 years here at Judicial Watch, and I was like, holy shnikes when I read these documents.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe this was going on, and nothing was being done as best we could tell. In fact, the Secret Service was hiding this information from us. So, you can have the White House spokeswoman, and I'm sure, there are going to be jokes about it, but it's no joke if you're on the wrong end of a dog bite. And the idea that our Secret Service agents and the uniformed personnel who are trying to defend the life and protect the lives of the president, his family, and all the visitors to the White House and all the other people who visit Delaware and such are worried about this dog attacking them, that's outrageous. And plus, it's dangerous. I mean, they're lucky the dog hasn't been shot. They're lucky there hasn't been a deadly attack. So what's going to be done? Do you want to be around the dog while Jill is training him? No way, Jose, for me.
No, not at all. So this is, you're pointing out a couple of important things. One, you have a Secret Service whose leadership had to be compelled by way of lawsuit to share this information. So that probably gives us some lessons on the way they handled that cocaine investigation, doesn't it?
That's exactly right. Yeah. They treat the agents like dirt. Let's be clear. They've been treated like dirt. They were bitten repeatedly, and nothing was done till we blew the whistle on it. Little old Judicial Watch on the outside. And this is, again, it's something that goes to the security of the President of the United States being undermined by this crazy dog fixation the President had, where he didn't care that everyone was being bitten and was in fear for this dog. I mean, imagine an agent having to hide behind a chair because the dog's about to attack him.
Yeah.
Or another agent's attack, and they get behind a steel cart while they try to tend to his injury because they were afraid the dog was going to go after him again. It's a war zone over in the White House caused by the dog.
Also, Biden's only awake for like 4 hours a day. He wouldn't even have time to train the dog. I don't know what they're even thinking by having these dogs. And you mentioned that yesterday in the press briefing, some questions came up on this subject, but I noticed all of the reporters were laughing as they asked, you have a dog problem, it seems, and Karine Jean-Pierre was laughing along with them. They're all yucking it up and having a great time, Tom Fitton, all as a result of your reporting.
And the challenge is that obviously there's contempt for anyone who questions the Bidens, right? So it doesn't matter. People getting bitten, people getting physically injured as a result of government corruption, because this is what this is. The Secret Service didn't want to do anything and confront the Bidens, so agents were being harmed. I mean, that's government corruption. Mm-hmm. And I'm not convinced that the dog can be trained out of it. Genetics, sometimes you can't, maybe it's not the owner. You just can't train it out of them. The dog has to be removed. I don't think the family can have the dog anymore, not as long as he has Secret Service protection. But, there are different rules here in D.C. I don't know. Maybe the D.C. mayor will do a dangerous dog investigation as the law requires into the Biden dog.
Yeah, I wouldn't hold my breath. No, the Bidens don't seem to be subjected to the same rules everybody else is.
But we got the cocaine issue with the Secret Service, right?
Yep.
We've had the dog issue with the Secret Service. Secret Service and the FBI were implicated in covering up the Hunter Biden's mishandling of that gun up in Delaware. Remember?
Yep.
So this Secret Service, there's a when you've got the senior official corrupt, the agencies around him get compromised in ways that we're seeing in surprising ways, as we're seeing today. It's just terrible. This city is just so awful in the way it's run. It's just so awful. Thank God for Judicial Watch. That's all I can say.
Yeah, thank you for exposing it. The whole point is that we can fix it in the future. Thank you, Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch, the author of A Republic Under Assault. Good to talk to you as always, Tom. Thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, it's 3.